At the height of his fame, Bruce Lee was transforming martial arts, revolutionizing action movies, and inspiring millions around the globe. Then suddenly he was gone. His death shocked fans worldwide and sparked countless theories that continue to this day. But before he became a legend, Bruce Lee was a rebellious child, a street fighter, a dreamer, and a man determined to challenge every limitation placed before him. This is the extraordinary story of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was born Lee Jun Fan on November 27, 1940, in San Francisco, California. His parents were in the United States while his father, Lee Hoi Chuen, was touring as a Cantonese opera performer. Although Bruce was born in America, his family returned to Hong Kong when he was only a few months old. The timing of his birth was significant. He was born during a turbulent period marked by war and uncertainty. Hong Kong itself would soon face major challenges during World War II. Bruce grew up in a relatively comfortable household compared to many families around him. His father was a respected entertainer, and the family lived in a crowded but stable environment. However, Bruce was far from an easy child. From an early age, he possessed enormous energy and a strong will. He disliked being told what to do and often challenged authority. Friends described him as fearless, stubborn, and intensely competitive. Acting entered his life almost immediately. Because of his father's connections in the entertainment industry, Bruce appeared in films as a child actor. By the time he reached his teenage years, he had already appeared in numerous movies. While acting helped build his confidence, life outside the camera was becoming increasingly difficult. Hong Kong's streets were rough. Teenage gangs were common. Street fights happened frequently. Bruce found himself drawn into this environment. As a teenager, he became involved in numerous fights. His reputation as a troublemaker began growing. Police frequently became aware of his involvement in street altercations. Concerned for his future, Bruce's parents sought a solution. They encouraged him to learn martial arts. At age 13, Bruce began training under Ip Man, one of the most respected masters of Wing Chun Kung Fu. The decision would change his life forever. Under Ip Man's guidance, Bruce learned discipline, structure, and technique. Unlike street fighting, martial arts required patience and self-control. Bruce trained relentlessly. He practiced punches, footwork, trapping techniques, and defensive movements for hours. However, his training wasn't always smooth. Some students reportedly objected to training with Bruce because of his mixed ancestry. As a result, portions of his instruction were conducted through senior students rather than directly through Ip Man. Despite these challenges, Bruce absorbed everything he could. Even after formal classes ended, he continued experimenting and refining techniques on his own. His obsession with improvement had already begun. Bruce believed there was always a better way. By his late teens, the fighting on Hong Kong streets had become a serious concern. Following another altercation, Bruce's parents decided drastic action was necessary. In 1959, with little money and few possessions, Bruce was sent to the United States. He was only 18 years old. The move would alter the course of his life. Arriving in America, Bruce initially settled in Seattle. Life was not glamorous. He worked various jobs to support himself. He washed dishes. He attended school. He lived modestly. Despite financial struggles, Bruce remained focused on his goals. He enrolled at Edison Technical School and later attended the University of Washington. While studying, he became increasingly interested in teaching martial arts. Unlike many traditional instructors, Bruce believed martial arts knowledge should be shared openly. This idea was controversial. At the time, many Chinese martial arts schools restricted instruction to Chinese students. Bruce rejected those limitations. He began teaching anyone willing to learn. Students from different backgrounds joined his classes. His charisma and confidence attracted attention. Soon he opened his first martial arts school. As his reputation grew, Bruce developed strong opinions about martial arts. He believed many traditional systems were too rigid. Too many techniques, he argued, were impractical in real combat situations. Bruce emphasized efficiency, speed, adaptability, simplicity. His philosophy was becoming increasingly revolutionary. Around this time, Bruce met Linda Emery, a student who attended one of his classes. The two quickly formed a connection. They married in 1964 despite opposition from some family members. Together they would have two children, Brandon Lee Etsui and Shannon Lee. Linda became one of Bruce's strongest supporters throughout his career. Their marriage provided stability during years of uncertainty. In 1964, Bruce's life took another major turn. He performed a martial arts demonstration at the Long Beach International Karate Championships. The audience was stunned. Bruce showcased incredible speed and precision. Among those impressed were individuals connected to the television industry. Hollywood began taking notice. Soon afterward, Bruce landed his first major television role. He was cast as Kato in The Green Hornet. Although the series lasted only one season, Bruce's performance became iconic. Audiences were fascinated by his athleticism, speed, and screen presence. Ironically, in Hong Kong, many viewers considered Kato the true star of the show. The series gained enormous popularity overseas. Despite the attention, Hollywood opportunities remained limited. Asian actors often faced stereotypes and barriers. Bruce frequently found himself offered small or restrictive roles. He became increasingly frustrated. He knew he possessed the talent to be a leading man. Yet the industry often failed to see beyond outdated assumptions. Rather than accepting limitations, Bruce focused on self-improvement. He trained obsessively. His workouts became legendary. He lifted weights, ran long distances, practiced martial arts techniques endlessly, studied nutrition, experimented with new training methods. Bruce constantly sought ways to improve his speed, power, and endurance. His physical conditioning reached extraordinary levels. Meanwhile, he continued developing his martial arts philosophy. Eventually, he created a system known as Jeet Kune Do, or the way of the intercepting fist. Jeet Kune Do rejected rigid styles and emphasized adaptability. Bruce famously encouraged students to absorb what was useful, reject what was useless, and add what was uniquely their own. His philosophy extended beyond martial arts. It became a way of thinking, a way of living, a challenge to conventional wisdom. Little did Bruce know that his greatest success was still ahead. Frustrated with Hollywood's limitations, he would soon return to Hong Kong, and there he would become one of the biggest movie stars in the world. What happened next would change martial arts cinema forever. Unknown to Bruce at the time, reruns of The Green Hornet had become extremely popular throughout Hong Kong. Audiences were captivated by his speed, charisma, and fighting ability. To many viewers, Bruce was already a star. Film producers quickly recognized his potential. One producer offered him a leading role in a martial arts film called The Big Boss. Released in 1971, the movie exceeded all expectations. The film shattered box office records across Asia. Audiences packed theaters to watch Bruce's explosive fighting style. Unlike previous martial arts stars, Bruce brought incredible speed, realism, and intensity to every scene. His punches looked devastating. His kicks seemed almost impossible. Viewers had never seen anything like it. Almost overnight, Bruce Lee became a sensation. The success of The Big Boss was followed by another film, Fist of Fury. Released in 1972, the movie became an even bigger success. Bruce played a martial artist seeking justice after the death of his teacher. The film featured several memorable fight scenes and cemented his status as Asia's biggest movie star. One scene in particular became legendary. Bruce's character confronts racism and discrimination while fiercely defending Chinese pride and dignity. Audiences connected deeply with the message. For many people, Bruce represented confidence, strength, and self-respect. His popularity continued to soar, but Bruce wanted even greater creative control. Determined to shape his own vision, he wrote, directed, and starred in Way of the Dragon. Released later in 1972, the film became another major success. It also featured one of the most famous fight scenes in movie history. The climactic battle took place inside Rome's Colosseum. Bruce faced American martial artist and future action star Chuck Norris. The fight was intense, dramatic, and beautifully choreographed. Decades later, it remains one of the most celebrated martial arts sequences ever filmed. Bruce was no longer just a movie star. He had become a cultural phenomenon. His influence extended beyond Asia. Audiences worldwide were becoming fascinated by martial arts. His philosophy, confidence, and physical abilities inspired millions. Then came the opportunity that would make him an international legend. Warner Brothers partnered with Bruce to create Enter the Dragon. The film was designed specifically to introduce Bruce Lee to mainstream Western audiences. Production began in 1973. Bruce poured everything into the project. He understood the significance of the opportunity. This was the film that could finally break down barriers in Hollywood. The movie combined martial arts, action, suspense, and international appeal. Bruce's performance was electric. Every movement demonstrated years of training and discipline. Many who worked on the film later recalled his incredible dedication and attention to detail. But behind the scenes, Bruce was under enormous pressure. Years of relentless training, film production, travel, and business responsibilities were taking a toll on his health. At the same time, Bruce was recovering from one of the most serious setbacks of his life. Several years earlier, he had suffered a severe back injury while training. Doctors reportedly warned that he might never practice martial arts again. Some believed his athletic career was over. For many people, such news would have been devastating. For Bruce, it became another challenge to overcome. Through rehabilitation and relentless effort, he gradually regained his strength. Eventually, he returned to training. As Enter the Dragon neared completion in 1973, Bruce appeared poised to achieve global superstardom. On July 20th, 1973, Bruce Lee was in Hong Kong discussing an upcoming film project. Later that day, he complained of a headache. He was given medication and went to rest. Hours later, he could not be awakened. Bruce Lee was rushed to a hospital. Doctors fought to save him, but it was too late. Bruce Lee was pronounced dead. He was only 32 years old. The official cause of death was determined to be cerebral edema, a swelling of the brain. However, the circumstances surrounding his death led to widespread speculation. Ironically, Enter the Dragon was released just days after Bruce's passing. The film became a massive international success. Audiences flocked to theaters. Critics praised his performance. The movie transformed martial arts cinema forever. Bruce Lee had finally achieved the global breakthrough he had always dreamed of. Sadly, he was not alive to witness it. In death, Bruce Lee's influence only grew stronger. His films inspired generations of actors, martial artists, and filmmakers. Countless action stars cite him as their greatest influence. Martial arts schools experienced enormous growth thanks to his popularity. Bruce Lee once said, "The key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering." More than 50 years after his death, the world is still remembering, not just the fighter, not just the actor, but the visionary who changed martial arts, transformed cinema, and inspired millions to become the best version of themselves. Bruce Lee's life was short, but his legacy is eternal.